organization?
Well, the goal is to preserve the green space, the land that's still the golf course, versus having it developed.
And so you guys are looking for donations right now to preserve this golf course. Can you kind of tell me what the situation is, that phase 1 and phase 2 thing that you were talking about?
Yeah, so the first initial 50 is what we were trying to get to, 50 members at $5,000 each. And what that gives us is some operating capital come 1 March, when we would have to sign a lease and take over operations of the golf course. Right now, golf is part of the lease until we own the land. Then at that time, we can make a decision what to do with golf, if it can sustain or not. So 1 March, we sign a lease. We had to have $250,000 is what was recommended by one of the management companies we had come in, be able to pay people's salaries, pay for the fees and that kind of thing, taxes. After that, now phase 2, after we reach that 50 initial donors, we will go after anybody who wants to donate at any and all levels. It will take everything from $100 or $1,000.
But we're going to structure that phase 2 as well. There's many ideas that we have from people that live on the golf course, all different venues we're going to try and raise that capital to help purchase the land. So that's, the 250 is what we want in the bank to have working capital, like Justin just said, 1 March. We may not have to use it. Some of it we probably will have to use. But then after that, everything that we're going to try and raise is going to be towards the purchase price, which is $2.2 million within the first year and $2.4 million within the second year. And that's the cap. That's the amount that's in the lease. We can always try and work that down. Whether we'll be able to or not, that we don't know.
So those numbers are set in stone, those 2.2 and 2.4. Yep. So if you get $2.5 million tomorrow, you could buy the golf.
Absolutely.
Not until after 1 March. So we could exercise that option anytime after we sign the lease.
2nd of March, if somebody drops $2.5 million on you, you can go ahead and buy it.
Absolutely.
Correct.
And so in terms of the revenues, that was something that I heard kind of brought up a little bit as well. How do you continue to pay for the upkeep, maintenance, salary, stuff like that? How's that all going to work?
Initially, that's where I think we'll go after memberships, right? That's membership, golf memberships. There's a lot of golfers here. People
and outside players.
Outside
so just like structure like a regular golf course. So try to get that revenue coming in. And then we have Southwind, as you heard. They're already paying a revenue for us for maintenance, about $60,000 a year that we have coming in. So that's the kind of things we want to continue to work on. But part of phase 2 is part of all that. So.
Why did you two guys get in on the board? I mean, this is a heavy lift for a couple of guys to do. Why is it so important to you guys that this happened?
I think that it started from just the fact that they were going to close it. And we said we have to step up and do something, right? This community is special. I'm new as a homeowner here for 3 years. Dave has been here for 30 years. And so we were like, hey, who's with us to try to get to yes? How do we get to yes? And it is about preserving what's left of this green space.
And we hear a lot of people talk about, hey, the school's overcrowded. There's too many cars on the roads already. And so we just thought, it's the first time we as homeowners have been given this kind of opportunity to do something with this land, which we've never been able to. For 40 years, it's been the developer that's always had this land.
Or somebody who's trying to make this for profit. And that was the big thing, is because when we initially started up, there was ability for us to just go out, get a business plan, get 7 investors to donate however much money, and then they're going to want some return on that investment. And what we said was, that's not sustainable, because this course is not in competition with other for-profit courses that are just within a 30-minute drive of here. This is about a locals place. This is a local community, and to try to keep it special and unique, and the amenities that used to be here, how do we do that? But we're only going to do it if we can get the community to support it, because if that is not sustainable, we don't, the land purchase and to be able to sustain the water and irrigation, even if it's just green space, whether it's parks or dog trails or whatever, that has to still be paid for. And the community has to pay for that, and it's not about somebody making money off of that for us.
So like you said, if somebody gave us $2.5 million to March, we could buy the land, but and if we don't have golf, it still has to be maintained. So there's got to be ongoing maintenance money coming either way.
Yeah.
And so you guys talked a little bit about there are 42 HOAs in Bluewater Bay, is that right?
Correct.
And about 26 non-HOA areas.
Okay, and so the idea was to, I guess, try and get them to partner with y'all in order to bring in those revenues.
I think that's an easy first step. It's one way to do it. The other one is memberships, of course, right? And then just getting people to volunteer to donate because they care about what we're doing and getting the word out. But if you have an HOA, and you can get that community to agree to it and say, this is important to us, it's important for this community, it's a lot easier for them to assess that as a tax assessable thing and write a check to us, to the HOA, just like I pay for my HOA. When you talk about the 26 non-HOA areas, many of them are actually on the golf course. Their backyards are on the golf course. They need to have a vested interest to not want to have something developed behind them. But how do you then enforce that as a whole? That's good for that one neighbor, but then the neighbor next to them says, oh, well, I don't really care. Okay, so they're paying, they're not, right? So how do you enforce that as a whole?
And then y'all talked about Marsh, Bay, and Lake. Are those 3 different 9-hole courses?
So there was 4 different 9-hole courses here. Okay, the original 2 were the Bay and the Lake. They both start and finish right here at the clubhouse. Then they built the Marsh course, which is down in Southwind. And then the last one was the Magnolia course, which was over here in Magnolia Plantation. It was the first one they closed 8 years ago. The nicest and the newest, they closed that one. And then they closed the Lake course here a couple years ago, and now the threat of the Bay course being closed 1 October, and that's when we really got involved. And I think that the homeowners that live here now finally are paying attention because of all these things we were just talking about. They don't want any more development. They don't want cookie cutter homes in their backyards. And they would like to have more green space, kind of like Hammock Bay. A lot of the things are being done and always continually improved, but they have 1 HOA in Hammock Bay. So basically, they want pickleball courts, they put them in and assess, raise your dues.
You vote on it and the community said yes, then the answer is yes, and that's what we need to get to. But, trying to unify all these HOAs into one that's a tougher hill to climb.
And the fact that you brought up pickleball, that brings up something for me, is that you guys are not dead set on this has to be golf.
No.
Not about golf at all.
Golf is a means. That's the only way they're allowing us to do this process. Okay, if we just said today we want to buy this land, they're not going to sell it to us. Okay, so golf was our way to get in the door and to basically do this lease for the golf and then give us the time to try and buy the land. So that's, So we don't.
And the good thing is, like we talked about, golf is an opportunity for us to generate revenue, right? So in the height of COVID, when everybody was stuck at home, this golf course did very well. Several hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. That revenue would then be for us. But what we need the community to understand is that's not sustainable, because if the draw of golf goes down, COVID goes away, people are all back to work and they don't have more free time on their hands, this course still has to be able to sustain. We will have some outside play, absolutely, and there's other avenues for that, but we want the community to say no, that this golf or this land is sustainable just because we live here and the members, the homeowners are contributing to that.
And we feel like Southwind is, they're already kind of paying their maintenance fee, okay, even with golf being here. We think that the other areas ought to kick in and continue to pay a maintenance fee now as well, because they still have that maintenance fee even if there's no golf. So when you have a golf, it's pretty pristine in your backyard. But if it's just no golf, then you've got to figure out what level do they want that maintained at. And so it's still, why not pay that now and help us keep the golf course open?
And so I just want to recap that a little bit. It's probably on your audio, but then they can hear it from us right now. But those numbers of currently 3,800 homes in Bluewater Bay. So if everybody did what Southwind did, and I'm going to use 175 instead of 185, it just went up, but 175 times 3,800 homes is $665,000 guaranteed revenue to help whatever, maintain green grass, pay off the land, all of that. So now you bump improvements, yeah. So now you bump that up to, can everybody afford $25 a month, $300 a year? $25 a month, $300 a year, 3,800 homes, $1.14 million. Not a single round of golf being played. So all that is then extra. All the golf membership, the outside play, all that revenue is just extra to go into capital for us to do capital improvements. Do we go after other amenities here?
Exactly. We could maybe possibly purchase back the tennis center. We could possibly purchase the swimming pools back. We'll never get the marina back. I can't say never, no. but and then homeowners could have access to all that. Just again, like Hammock Bay. You live in Hammock Bay, you got the swimming pools, you got pickleball, you got tennis, you've got all those things. A dog park, walking, all those things.
Something I've never actually seen.
So it's something we could have here as a community.
Yeah. The one pool I haven't ever seen, Dave's lived here, was Parkwood Estates. I would love for them. They don't live south of 20, right by the course like many other homes, But they had a Olympic-sized swimming pool with a beautiful pool. It's like you have to walk on this woodway path to get to it, and it was self-contained, and it had this great banquet. I mean, really, it had a clubhouse that you could reserve and do things with. I was like, okay, so what does it cost to refurbish a pool? $1 million maybe? When you have that capital now and you've done that for a couple of years, maybe that's what everybody votes on to say, hey, no, let's get that Olympic pool back. Let's refurbish that. How do we buy that? How do we do that? So everything's a possibility.
And you heard about the MSBU. Okay, so that came about, probably 25 years ago. And so we have that entity already established. So could we go to them, which they're part of us, they're homeowners like us, and see if we couldn't maybe change that charter to add some money to that, which is a tax base, And it's like people say, oh, I don't play golf or I don't play tennis. It's like, okay, I don't have any kids in school. You know what the number one tax item is on my property tax? It's school. It's school, But it's really for your community, and I support the school because it's my community, right? So it's the same type of thing. We just need everybody to try and support this, but that's going to take longer than probably 2 years to get that changed.
So you guys have your first 2 years pretty much not set in stone, but you have it planned out.
We're still working on it.
Still working on it.
Yeah, we're still trying to decide what's the best way to raise this capital, and that we have a lot of ideas, but we need to really start. We're trying to get the golf. There's so much to do right now with trying us to take over the golf. There's a lot of things going, a lot of moving parts. So that's why that's phase one. And phase two is us really putting that together. And love to share that with you once we have that.
And I think the big thing for the community to hear from us is we need their help. We need their help spreading the word to their friends and their neighbors. Not everybody's on social media. Not everybody gets on. We will build out a website here shortly at preservebwb.com. We have a couple emails already set up when we bought that server name. So info@preservebwb.com will be email us. Our phone numbers and stuff and all are out there. It's very easy to get a hold of us. We're pretty responsive, really quick, and we can answer your questions, and we're happy to come talk to your HOAs or your neighbors or your friends. More meetings like this, town hall meetings. So I think we just got to get the word out, and we got to make sure that there's not misinformation. Contact us. We're an open book. We have nothing to hide, and this is, again, there's no profit in this for us. This is all volunteer for us.
If the community doesn't want it, then
that's fine.
We're done.
But even the LLC it's not nonprofit yet. It's a not-for-profit venture. Like what we're trying to do here is for the betterment of the community.
Right.
And every dime that goes in this goes back to either operations, maintenance, taking care of people's salaries that work here to keep the stuff green. And that will have to continue whether golf is here or not. So that's what this is about.
And we do have attorneys working with us, and we do have accountants working with us. So it's just not us by ourselves. So.
Is there anything else that I forgot to ask you or that I should ask you?
No, I think we're good.
No, I think we're going to get that word out.
My hope is that